Let's talk about some awesome knitting patterns that were released this February. Hello everyone, Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with you all today. So today we are going to be talking about free knitting patterns that I found in this February, this month. Yes, the last day. So these are very new designs that were uploaded and released during the month of February. So we are going to be talking about size inclusive garments, accessories, and knits for the home. And so all of these patterns are available for free. Now, they're either going to be a free download, or you can go on the designer's blog and find the pattern there for free. And of course, I will leave links to all of the patterns in the description box below. Let's get started with garments. Okay, so the first one that we have is the Draco Sweater, and it is designed by Mel Cannelli for Barocco. It calls for a fingering weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 33 to 73 inches. And in centimeters, that is 84 to 185.5. And so you're going to need 2 needle sizes for this one. And of course, your needle size may be different depending on how your gauge swatch turns out or how your tension is and things like that. But the pattern calls for a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. Also a US 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter. And so some of the skills that you'll need to make this pattern includes knit, purl, make one left, make one right, picking up stitches, knitting 2 together, and slip, slip, knit. And also you will be doing a 3 needle bind off as well. And so this pattern is worked sideways, and I haven't knit a pattern sideways yet, so that's pretty cool. And basically it's knit sideways in 2 sections. And I think looking at the picture, you can definitely tell that there's like two different sections going on there. But each section is worked from the sleeve cuff to the center. So I really like that. It's a very interesting construction. And then of course, once you complete that, it is joined together by that 3 needle bind off. And so also the sleeves, they are worked in the round, so that's good. And I really like that subtle V-neck design that it has. The next one is the Quartz Tee, designed by Taylor Harris for Hobby or Hobie. Yeah, I can never say that right. Which one is it? Hobby, Hobie. But anyway, it calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 38.5 to 77 inches, and that's 98 to 195.5 centimeters. And so the needle size that it calls for is a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. And so there's quite a few skills that you'll need for this one. Long tail tubular cast on, knit, purl, knit 1 through the back loop only, knit 2 together, slip, slip, knit, working with the yarn in front. You'll be doing yarn overs, there's seaming, there's picking up stitches, and also it calls for a sloped bind off. So this pattern has it seems like this pattern has a bazillion different skills and techniques going on. So if you are an adventurous knitter, this pattern is for you. Okay, a little bit more about this pattern is that it is knit in pieces from the bottom up. And I know that might be a challenge for a lot of people because if you're like me, I prefer top down. But basically it begins with the 1x1 ribbing, and then it's followed by that beautiful diamond cable lace pattern. So if you're up for the challenge, I think this one would be a really good one for you. Okay, so the next one we have is the Vela Sweater, and it is designed by Mel Cannelli for Barocco, and it calls for worsted weight yarn. And the bust circumference ranges between 32 to 72 inches. So that's a really nice range. And that is 81.5 to 183 centimeters. And so this one also has 2 needle sizes. And the first one is a US 6, which is a 4 millimeter. And then a US 8, which is a 5 millimeter. So in order to make this pattern, there's a few skills that you'll need to know, and that includes knit, purl, knit two together, left lifted increases, and right leaning increases. Also, slip slip knit, and wrap and turn short rows. So if you're someone like me who prefers German short rows, this would be your time to practice the wrap and turn short rows. So yay. You can either look at that as a good or bad thing, but I've done wrap and turn. It's not terrible. It's really not. I was able to accomplish it, but if I have to choose between the two, I'll go with German short row. Let me know what you think. And so this sweater, it is knit top down, seamless. And of course it has a raglan construction. So I think it'll be a really nice one. A few of the patterns that I found for this month, some are kind of challenging, which, can be kind of fun. Up next, we have the Crossery textured vest, and it is designed by Paulina Castell for Hobie. And it calls for worsted weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 39.5 to 71 inches. And in centimeters, that is 100 to 180. So you'll need quite a few things. You even need a crochet hook for this one. So for the knitting needles, you will need a US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter. And you'll also need a US 8, which is a 5 millimeter. So for the provisional cast on only, you will need a crochet hook. And you will need a 3.5 millimeter, which is an E hook. So if you're gonna make this this Crossery vest, you will need a crochet hook. So there's quite a few skills that you'll need for this one. Those skills include knit, purl, provisional cast on, the center double decrease, knit two together, make one left, make one right, knitting through the back loop, knitting with the yarn in the front, and knitting with the yarn in the back. Also, there's some short rows, there's some I-cord, and also there's the loom stitch. So it's another one that's got quite a few stitches, but I feel like it will produce a very, very beautiful product in the end. And so this vest, it is worked top down. Of course, you begin with that provisional cast on, and it has short rows at the shoulders. And also the backs and the front, they are worked separately to the underarm, and then you're going to knit flat as well. So there's a lot that goes into the construction, and the knitted flat part is going to be created with the loom stitch. So one thing that I always encourage people to do is to read the pattern all the way through before you get started, because that way you won't get into any surprises. A lot of times we get into a project and we're like, oh, I know how to knit, and then we look at it and we're like, loom stitch, I-cord, what is that? So if you read the pattern before casting on, I personally feel like it can save you some headache down the line. So the next one we have is the Ponni Sweater, and it is designed by Audrey Borrego. And so this one calls for a DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 37 to 75.5 inches. And in centimeters, that is 96 to 192. And so you will need 3 knitting needle sizes for this one. And they include the US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter, the US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter, and the US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter. So let's talk about some of the skills that you'll need for this one. The skills you will need is a German twisted cast on, which is one of my favorite cast ons because it's super stretchy. Also the backwards loop cast on, knit, purl, picking up stitches, and also slipping stitches. You'll need to know how to do that as well. And so basically this is a patchwork style type of drop shoulder. It has a lot of different textures in it, and it is worked top down, so that's great. And also it has an amazing split hem. I really like that detail. Let's talk about what I am wearing. I'm really loving this. I feel like it brings the outfit together. So this is the Empower People cowl, and this one is designed by Casapinka. So this is the knitted version. If you watched my crochet roundup for February, you would have seen the crochet version, but this is the knitted version, and I dyed this yarn. It's beautiful. I have an entire video about this cowl, so if you want to know more about the knitting needle size I use, the yarn, the experience, and all of that good stuff, I will link that video below, so you can definitely check it out. But it is beautiful, and there's so many different ways to wear it, and so yay, I'm enjoying this. All right, so let's get back to the patterns. Next up, we have the Elixir Pleated top, and this is designed by Ariana Fresco for Hobie. Y'all, when I first saw this pattern, I was like, this is amazing. It's just such a beautiful construction. I love the pleated detail that's not only in the front, but it's also in the back, and the sleeves, just so amazing. So to make this one, you will need worsted weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 33 to 72 inches, and that is 86 to 183 centimeters. And so the knitting needle sizes you will need is a US 6, which is a 4 millimeter, and a US 8, which is a 5 millimeter. So to make this, you will need to know how to knit two together, make one left on the purl side, make one right on the purl side. So yeah, y'all know how I feel about make ones. Yeah, they can be tricky sometimes, and it's even more trickier when it's on the purl side. But also you will need to know how to do the slip to pass over stitch as well. Once again, that sounds complicated, but it's really not. Okay, so this sweater, as I mentioned before, it features those beautiful pleats, and it has like these flutter elbow sleeves, which I just think are absolutely adorable. And the sweater and the yoke is knitted top down. And once you finish that, you're going to put those on hold. And then you pick up the body, and the body is worked bottom up. So I have never seen a pattern construction where you're using top down and bottom up all for the same garment. That is just some interesting construction. So yeah. And then of course, you finish with the pleats, and you join the body to the yoke, and then you will use a 3 needle bind off to bring it all together. So that's another skill. Actually, it's the 3 needle cast off. So that's another skill that you'll need to know as well. So the next one we have is the Varg Cardigan. I cannot pronounce the designer's name, so it will be on the screen. And so it calls for worsted weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 33.5 to 52.5 inches. And this is a men's pattern, so the bust circumference is a little bit smaller than the women's sizes, of course, but that is 85 to 133 centimeters. And so to make this pattern, you will need a US 2.5, which is a 3 millimeter, and you'll need a US 6, which of course is a 4 millimeter knitting needle. And so to make this pattern, you will need to know how to knit, purl, make one right, make one left, do the backwards loop cast on, and pick up stitches. And so this beautiful cardigan, it is worked top down, and I love the pockets in the front. I don't know, I think it's really cool. I've put pockets on cardigans before, but never like how these pockets are. So those are really, really cool. This next one, I am super excited to show you all. It's kind of like you're getting like a 2-for-1 set here. It's really pretty. So it is the Toscana T-shirt and skirt set, and it is designed by Maria Bergman. Now, these two patterns are downloaded separately. So if you just want the skirt, you can get that one. If you just want the shirt, you can have that. But they both are free. So both of them require inner weight yarn. And so for the shirt, the bust circumference ranges between 36 to 61.5 inches, and that is 91 to 156 centimeters. And then for the skirt portion, The waist circumference ranges between 25 to 53.5 inches, and that's 64 to 136 centimeters for the skirt. For the shirt, you will just need the US 8, which is a 5mm. But for the skirt, you'll need two knitting sizes, and it is the US 6, which is a 4mm, and the US 8, which is a 5mm. So you'll need an extra knitting needle for the skirt. Now, in order to make both of these lovely patterns, you will need to know how to knit, purl, do the lift left stitch loop, and the lift right stitch loop, say that 10 times, as well as German short rows, picking up stitches, and knitting 2 stitches together. So that's a fun decrease. It's quite a popular type of decrease. And so both patterns are knit top down, and they're finished off with this lovely wavy edge. I think it's so nice. And yeah, as I mentioned, these are 2 separate downloads. I will leave a link to both patterns below, but I just think they would make a really cute set together. Okay, so next up we have the Bergen Sweater, and it is designed by Sarah Clint. So for this pattern, you can either use 1 strand of super bulky weight yarn, or you can use 2 strands of Aran weight yarn. Choice is yours. Either way, you'll have the same gauge. So the bust circumference, and let's see, that is between 38.5 to 66.5 inches. And in centimeters, that is 98 to 169. So the needle size that you'll need, it involves a 7mm knitting needle hook. I talk about crochet once in this video, and now my mind has just changed. 7mm knitting needle, and a US 10, which is a 6mm. So the skills that you'll need for this one, it involves quite a few. Knit, purl, slipping stitches. So actually, it's knit, purl, and then this is all 1 stitch. So you slip 1 stitch, knit 1 stitch, pass the slip stitch over the knit stitch, and that's 1 stitch. Yeah, 1 stitch. It's not as bad as you think, I promise. But also you'll need to do make 1 right, make 1 left, and then you'll also be doing the make 1 right and left on the purl side as well. German short rows and knit 2 together. And so this sweater, it's a raglan construction, and it is a knit top down. And also I really love that 2x2 ribbing. I don't know, I really like 2x2 ribbing. Do y'all? I really like it. Let's move on to accessories. We have the Nans No Fuss Shawl, and it is designed by Catherine Walters of the Knitted Raven. And so this calls for light fingering weight yarn, and it comes in 1 size, but you can add sections to make it bigger. So that's, if you have more yarn, of course you can add on to it. And it calls for a US 6, which is a 4mm knitting needle. And you'll need to know how to knit, purl, yarn over, knit 2 together through the back loop, and also the 3-stitch I-cord bind off. I've done that, and I enjoy doing the I-cord bind off. I think it's a lot of fun. So I just love tiny shawls. I like tiny scarves. I like tiny shawls. Obviously, I do. So when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh yeah, definitely have to put this on the list. And also, it has a crescent shaped design, and so that really helps your shawl to stay on your shoulders, because of course, sometimes shawls can slip off your shoulders. So that crescent design really helps it to kind of hug your shoulders and stay on. So yay, love that. And also we have the Poetic Poncho, designed by Hiromi Glover for Pearl Soho. I absolutely love this one. It calls for DK weight yarn, and there's 3 sizes to fit chest circumferences of 46 inches, which is 117 centimeters, 54 inches, which is 137 centimeters, and 64 inches, which is 163 centimeters. So those are going to fit quite a few chest range sizes. And it calls for a US 6, which is a 4mm. And the skills you'll need to know include long tail cast on, knitting, purling, knitting with the yarn in the front, knitting with the yarn in the back. So not bad, not bad at all. And yeah, I just feel like this poncho really fits my style. I like nice classic pieces that don't have a lot of fuss to them, but still have some interest to them. So I really like that. I think this is a beautiful design. Let's talk about patterns for the home. We have the Fenestra blanket, and it is designed by Joelle Hoverston for Pearl Soho, and it calls for DK weight yarn. So this pattern has two different designs. You have a design where you have the larger window panes or the larger squares, and then you have one with the smaller squares. And so both blankets actually end up being about the same finished size. But if you're interested in the dimensions, so here they are. For the large size, the blanket is going to be 39 inches wide and 48 inches long. And in centimeters, that is 99 by 122. However, if you're interested in making the blanket with the smaller window panes, it's 36 inches wide by 47.5 inches long. And of course, in centimeters, that is 91 by 121 centimeters. So as you can see, both sizes are pretty close. The one with the smaller window panes are maybe an inch or so smaller, so it's really nice. I think, you're getting two patterns in one, and I think that's wonderful. Okay, so the knitting needle size that you'll need is a US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter. And the skills you'll need includes long tail cast on, knitting, slipping stitches, and picking up stitches. And so I just love that you can make this blanket with the different window sizes. Now I prefer the large window size. I just think that's amazing. And I really like that one. And so yeah, it's a beautiful blanket. I think it will look great on the couch or, anywhere. Yeah, and if you're anything like me, for whatever reason, my legs and feet, they always seem to be cold. So I always have a blanket on me, whether I'm in the office or the living room or wherever. I always have a blanket on me. So yeah, I think it's going to be really wonderful for that. So I did want to tell you all about some videos that I've come out with or upcoming. So I appreciate those who watch both my knitting and crochet videos. And as I mentioned before, I have come up with a crochet roundup video as well. And so definitely check that out. Also, future videos, I am finishing up a test knit. And so I'll be doing a video for that. I'm currently blocking a cowl right now. It's blocking in the other room. I did a wet block on it, so I will definitely be sharing that with you all. What else? I'm still working on my home light cardigan that I shared earlier this month. So stay tuned. I've got quite a few knitting related videos coming up as well. But of course, if you're someone that knits and crochet like myself, definitely check out the latest crochet free pattern roundup video for February. I would really appreciate that. And also, as you know, I do have a hand dye yarn company, and so I will leave a link for that as well. I have several bases, fingering base, DK worsted weight yarn, and it's all on superwash merino wool with a lot of different nice colors, so definitely check that out as well. And so yeah, and thank you to all those who have already purchased yarn from me. I really do appreciate it. So let me know what you worked on while watching, or did you just chill? I would love to know. And also, thank you all so much for clicking that like button, that notification button, and sharing my videos. I appreciate it so much. And if you are interested in a monthly bonus video, I do exclusive videos for my members only. So click that join button below if you are interested. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.